3 bone-chilling motel stories that will haunt you forever. You won't believe what happens next. In the heart of nowhere, caution tapes fluttered in the wind, flapping like warning flags over the now-abandoned Sunset Inn. Trespassers reported a chill that hung in the air, strange shadows that danced in half-light, and the faint whispers of long-lost guests who never checked out. The motel sat like a crumbling monument, weathered by time, cloaked in rumors of murder, unearthly sightings, and secrets that begged to escape into the light. The unnerving feeling crept upon you, tightening your chest, making your pulse quicken as you stepped inside, ready to dive into a world lurking somewhere between reality and nightmare. The first guest, an unsuspecting traveler named Jake, swore he heard children laughing. But the laughter turned ominous, echoing down the dimly lit hallways. It was as if the very walls held on to their ghostly delight, refusing to let go of their joy even in death. Striding down the corridor, he felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand straight. Air crackled around him, charged with a strange energy. Jake clutched his chest, gasping as icy fingers seemed to grip his heart, making him fear he was not alone, that there were eyes watching his every move. Then there was Linda, an artist searching for inspiration who stumbled into room 3. She found a painting left behind, vibrant strokes of color pulsating with life. But as she gazed at it long enough, the shapes twisted and morphed into twisted faces, mouths agape in silent screams. It was haunting, like the spirits of past tenants were begging for justice. Her trembling hands reached for the canvas, fingertips brushing against cold paint, but the instant she did, the lights above flickered violently, leaving her shrouded in darkness. Linda knew this place had blood on its floors, and she wasn't sure if it would be hers next. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Finally, there was the haunted legacy of the unsuspecting honeymooners, Jill and Mark, who had chosen the Sunset Inn for a quiet getaway. Their laughs turned to screams echoing through the midnight air, bound to the room forever after discovering a hidden door behind the tattered wallpaper. When they opened it, it led to a steep staircase, shrouded in darkness that seemed to breathe in and out, alive in a way that was not human. They descended, unaware of phantoms trailing their every footstep, whispering secrets of despair. What awaited at the bottom could only be imagined. Was it hope or horror? And as winds howled outside, blending with the soft cries of the lost, one question hung heavy in the air: who would be the next to be claimed by the Sunset Inn? What mysteries lay hidden within its damp walls, poised to devour the next unsuspecting visitor? As the moon hung low, casting long shadows over the decaying structure, the chilling silence of the Sunset Inn was pierced by a sudden clamoring noise. It cut through the air like a knife, startling 2 new arrivals, Sam and Brianna, a couple seeking to escape the chaos of their city life. They parked their car in the lot, feeling the inevitable pull of curiosity that lured them towards the ghostly edifice. Ignoring the unease running down their spines, they stepped out, equipped only with a flashlight, and a sense of adventure fueling their nerves. The air felt thicker as they approached the entrance, the front door creaking ominously as they pushed it open. Inside, musty air invaded their lungs, heavy with history and despair. Walls, yellowed with age, seemed to whisper secrets, a soft murmur where each board and nail had witnessed unspeakable events. Brianna shivered, wrapping her arms around herself as they ventured into the dimly lit lobby. Just a bunch of old stories, right? Sam joked, trying to lighten the mood. But his voice came out weak, cracking just as the old plaster on the walls seemed ready to crumble. They moved deeper into the motel, mapping the eerie hallways that twisted and turned like a dark maze. A flicker of movement caught Brianna's eye. She paused, her heart racing as a figure darted past the far edge of the dim light. "Did you see that?" she whispered, wide-eyed. "It's probably just some animal," Sam reassured, though he felt an unsettling chill creeping down his spine. Trembling, but propelled by curiosity, they pushed forward. Room 4 called to them, door slightly ajar, a strange breeze beckoning from within. When they peeked inside, the sight that greeted them was surreal. A faded mirror hung on the wall, reflecting not only their images but swirling darkness in the background like a cloak of figures watching and waiting. As Brianna gasped, the reflection shifted. A different couple appeared in the glass, frozen in time, their faces twisted in fear. Before she could blink, they vanished, leaving an echo of cries resonating in her mind. "Let us get out of here," Brianna stammered, panic rising as she felt the temperature drop further. But Sam was rooted in place, transfixed by the eerie spectacle. "Wait, there has to be a reason. Maybe they're trying to tell us something." Brianna pulled at his sleeve. She felt the pull of whatever force lingered in that room, something dark. She dragged him away, determined not to succumb to whatever the motel had planned for them. In their retreat, the air around them thickened, pressing against their chests. Jake's laughter echoed again, but now it wasn't joyful, it twisted into agonizing wails. They burst through the front door, hearts pounding in unison, desperate for the open air and escape from the shadows that were now chasing them. Once outside, they turned to catch their breath, only to see a figure standing under a flickering street lamp. It was a woman dressed in an old wedding gown, her face obscured with tangled hair. With a chilling smile, she pointed towards the motel. "Don't leave me," she whispered, the words slicing through the night like ice. Brianna's heart raced. "Did you hear that?" She gasped, but Sam was already retreating. "What do we do?" He trembled, stepping backward as the haunting energies trembled beneath the moonlight. As they hesitated, the reception door swung open, revealing the darkened hallway within. Whispers called them back with a force stronger than fear, tugging at their minds. The couple stood at a crossroads: flee or confront the horror head-on. What lay in the depths of the sunset and beckoned with both terror and secrets that perhaps were meant to be uncovered, but the choice they would make could seal their fate, just as it had for those before them. Would they remain brave, or would they join the spirits dwelling in darkness, forever lost to the shadows? The next moment could change everything, but would they take the plunge into the depths of the unknown? Sam's breath came in quick bursts, each inhale sharp and shallow, while the haunted echoes of the inn clawed at the corners of his mind. He felt Brianna's fingers grip his arm, pulling hard, the urgency in her stance mirroring the terror dancing in her eyes. "Sam, we can't stay here," Brianna pleaded, glancing fearfully toward the dark threshold of the reception. The flickering light above cast eerie shadows that morphed and shifted, as if alive, as it caught the edge of the hallway. A distant murmur slipped through the building's decaying walls, growing louder, an uninvited chorus of whispers weaving a tale that was both desperate and inviting. "Help us, save us," they beckoned, mixing with the moan of the wind outside. It felt like an omen. Danger swirled in the air, tangled with an inexplicable urge to understand, but Sam's curiosity burned hotter than his fear. "We have to see what's going on," he said, his heart pounding like a battle drum rallying him into the fray. He broke free from Brianna's grip, stepping towards the reception, determined to confront whatever mysteries lay within. "Sam! No!" Brianna's voice trembled, panic lacing her words. Ignoring her, he crossed the threshold, stepping into the dim light that barely reached the far corners of the lobby. As he peered around, the atmosphere shifted. Dust motes danced like fireflies, illuminating the remnants of old furniture draped in sheets, silent witnesses to a bygone era. Each breath he took grew heavier as anticipation brewed inside him like a storm. "Look!" Sam pointed at a disheveled guest registry sitting upon the ancient front desk, yellowed pages curling with age. A chill shot down his spine as he skimmed the names, most faded but some legible, etched into history with stark clarity. Then one name caught his eye: Beryl Thompson. It matched the description of the haunting figure just outside. What if she's? He hesitated, a horrifying realization slowly dawning upon him. Could the woman be one of the long-lost souls trapped within this place? Brianna hesitated at the door, torn between following him and escaping into the cold night. "Sam, let us go." She felt the darkness creep closer, thickening around her, each shadow a threat. But his excitement drew her in despite the fear swirling in her gut. As she stepped further into the lobby, she caught sight of something faint footprints leading to a door marked staff only. Shadows flickered behind it, casting ghostly silhouettes that seemed to turn in her direction, watching her with eager anticipation. "Sam, do you see this?" Brianna urged, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if we're not alone?" Her words hung like smoke, thickening the air between them. Sam nodded but didn't he move. He was entranced, almost hypnotized by the thrumming energy of the motel. The laughter of the ghostly children returned, echoing and distinct, this time adorned with cries that sent a shiver down Brianna's spine. Her knees weakened, without warning, a loud bang erupted from the staff door, making both jump. The door flew open, revealing a dark figure silhouetted against the gloomy backdrop beyond. A face emerged, a wide grin stretched across the stranger's features, looking as alive as the body of a corpse, pale and ashen. "Welcome." The figure chimed in a sing-song voice, but there was something intent, something lethal behind the glee. "Join us. Run." Brianna screamed, grabbing Sam's arm, and they bolted for the exit. The air buzzed with energy, charged with something sinister trying to grab hold of them, taunting them, but the woman in the wedding dress stood at the foot of the steps, sorrow etched on her features. "You cannot leave, you must learn our nightmares," she wept, her voice a haunting echo that rushed through them like a tidal wave. Sam and Brianna stopped, frozen in dread, the night air crackling with electricity around them. What lingering horrors awaited as they stared into the maw of the Sunset Inn? Powerless to resist, they felt the pull of the darkness. Could they submerge themselves into the depths of the unexplainable and escape, or was this the night they became a part of the horror? As they faced the wedding ghost, dread washed over their hearts, painting their thoughts with the looming question, how deep did the terror go? The couples before them had all left their mark. What would Sam and Brianna leave behind? In that moment, night began to shift. The veil between the past and present fluttered, and something sinister writhed just beneath the surface, ready to emerge. What would they uncover in the whispers of forgotten souls? Would they discover the truth of their fate, or was it already too late? Brianna felt the world tilt as the wedding ghost's icy gaze pierced her soul. She stood paralyzed, her heart thundering in her ears, fighting the urge to flee. "Stay back!" Sam shouted, but his voice wavered, uncertainty creeping in like the darkness surrounding them. The ghost didn't move, her distress palpable, a specter caught in a never-ending cycle of sorrow. "Please," Brianna mumbled, her fingers trembling from the coldness radiating from the phantom. "What do you want from us?" The air thickened with tension, the whispers from the walls enveloping them, pulling them into an arch of swirling past tragedies. The woman's lips quivered, unveiling a story written in tears and despair. "You must know to understand," she pleaded, her voice an echo from a distant past. "Every soul who enters this place is bound to a story, bound to the nightmares of love and loss." Sam glanced at Brianna, her fear mirrored in his eyes. "What if we don't want to know?" he whispered, casting a wary look at the ghost still blocking their path to freedom. "You have no choice," the specter replied, her voice steadying. "You were called here, the threads of fate have woven your presence into our tale. Help us find peace. Help us remember." Brianna took a cautious step back, but the sound of boots against the wooden floor behind them made her freeze. Another figure emerged, darker than the night, shadowed by the flickering light. "Leave them be," came a grating voice, anger spilling from lips that curled like smoke. It was a man, his features as twisted as the menace in his eyes, stepping into the light with an air of authority that sent chills racing down their spines. "You think they care about your plight? They're nothing but vessels, nothing but passing guests." "Shut up, Cole." The ghost hissed, her eyes igniting with untold fury. "You are the keeper of pain and you will never control this narrative." The tension in the room escalated, crackling as if the air itself were straining under the weight of their conflict. Brianna felt a surge of desperation. "We're not here to hurt anyone. We just want to go home," she pleaded, glancing at Sam, searching his eyes for resolve. But Sam's gaze remained locked on the swirling shadows, a depth of understanding crawling into his mind. "No," he said quietly, almost to himself. "It's more than that. The walls seem to breathe in the essence of their shared fear, the stories hovering like malevolent phantoms, eager for release." As Brianna clung to Sam, something deep within her stirred a pull toward the history trapped within these walls. "What if you're right?" Brianna ventured, stepping forward tentatively. "What if we can help? What if we could understand?" The ghost's expression softened momentarily, hope flickering behind the tempest of sorrow in her eyes. The shadows wavered, and the man's sneer faltered, revealing a sliver of uncertainty. "Don't be foolish," Cole barked, his voice cutting through the moment like glass. "You will not take their place." But it was too late. Brianna's words hung heavy in the air, echoing with a curiosity they could no longer deny. A rift opened, a vulnerability shone through the malevolence, and the ghost nodded cautiously. "Then you must listen, my dear children," she said softly. "You must witness what we became and decide if you can alter our fate." Before they could react, the lobby transformed. The shadows widened, the walls peeled away like layers of rotten skin, revealing scenes from the motel's past, each echo a life once claimed by love or despair. The cries of past guests surged around them, a mournful symphony of souls intertwined. Panic surged within Brianna, and she felt Sam's hand grip hers tightly as everything swirled around them, blinding light and dark memories colliding in a dizzying dance. "What did we just step into?" he asked, his voice rich with fear. As the revelation of their circumstance settled in, the shadows embraced them tighter. The question that lingered was unrelenting: how would they disrupt the cycle of torment with their fears weighing them down, and whatever they uncovered about the souls trapped within the echoes of the Sunset Inn? Would they emerge from the darkness unscathed, or would they find themselves part of a story etched in tragedy? The world around them blurred, drenched in echoes that twisted through time like a storm brewing in the distance. Brianna and Sam stood at the precipice of a nightmare, their hearts racing as they were pulled deeper into a scene that felt both surreal and unbearably real. A flickering light flickered above them, illuminating a couple wrapped in a tender embrace. A wedding gown brushed against the floor, trailing a lifetime of memories. Laughter filled the air, warm and intoxicating. But the joy was tainted. An undercurrent of despair seeped through the cracks in their perfect world. "Who are they?" Brianna asked, her voice shaky. She leaned closer to Sam, who was still staring, captivated yet terrified. The ghost beside them took a breath, her translucent form shimmering with the weight of unspoken sorrow. "That was me once. Before I was bound to this place. Before love turned into loss." Suddenly, the joyous couple flickered. The laughter warped into sobs, the wedding veil stained with tears. The scene shifted violently, flinging them into darkness so suffocating, it pressed against their chests. "Help us," a voice echoed, discordant and haunting. The stark contrast between bliss and anguish clawed at Brianna and Sam, forcing them to confront their own tangled emotions. Then, without warning, they were thrust into another memory. "Look!" Sam gasped, but Brianna's attention was drawn to the flickering image of a man pacing beside a bed. His face twisted, anguished. Scattered around him stood ghostly figures, their figures draped in veils of despair, whispering secrets of betrayal. "This is the aftermath," the wedding ghost said, her voice almost lost as the wails grew louder. "A love turned vengeful. This man lost everything, allowing darkness to consume him." Brianna felt her breath hitch as the man fell to his knees, his face buried in his hands. The room dissolved, engulfed in a haze of mist before another memory spiraled into view. A young woman, fragile and hunched, stared blankly at a letter covered in ink. Desperation coiled around her like a snake, squeezing tighter. "He chose her," she whispered, the ghost's echo matching her anguish. "I wasn't enough. What can we do?" Brianna's voice trembled as she tightened her grip on Sam's hand. Bear witness!" cried the ghost, fury igniting in her voice, piercing through the anguish blossoming around them. "We must catalogue our sorrows. Only then can the chains binding us be severed." The shadow of Cole loomed large behind them, his cold laughter echoing like thunder. "You foolish children don't understand. These are their burdens they are meant to suffer, as will you." Brianna's heart raced as she felt the temperature drop. The walls pulsed, thundering with the weight of their unresolved pain, wrapping her in a cocoon of despair. Sam stepped forward, determination surging through him. "We can't let him control what they feel. We can't let them suffer." Sam's words hung in the air like a challenge, igniting something within the writhing shadows. They shifted restlessly, pulsating with potential, teetering on the brink between despair and hope. "Will you fight for us?" the spectre beseeched, locking eyes with Brianna. "Will you help us rewrite our fate?" Brianna's breath caught. The sense of urgency clawed at her throat. Could they change the narrative? Could they confront their own fears, diving headlong into the pain etched in this cursed place? "Let us do it!" Sam shouted, lightning determination sparking in his eyes. But as quickly as that flame ignited, it dimmed under the weight of uncertainty. But how? As they faced the ever-watching specters, Brianna felt the pull of fate entwining them further. Taking a step toward it all, she felt the air thicken, urging them to unravel the histories laid bare. "Together, we can break the veil of sorrow," the ghost urged, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "But know this, only truth can set us free, and the truth comes with a price." Brianna turned to Sam, uncertainty shimmering in his eyes. Would they pay that price? Their next step could lead to salvation or deeper entrapment. As the shadows simmered restlessly, Brianna's heart thumped in her chest. What would they uncover in this battle against the past? Would the truth liberate them all, or would they find only horror in the depths of their choices? The air crackled as Brianna and Sam exchanged charged glances, the gravity of the situation pressing down on them like a heavy blanket. The ghost's plea lingered, a haunting echo against the chorus of sorrow swirling around them. What truth were they about to unearth? Brianna felt something twist inside her, a knot of fear and resolve. "Stay close," Sam whispered, though they were already tethered together by something far more potent than mere physicality. He stepped forward, drawing Brianna along, into the vivid tapestry of agony laid out before them. The specters shifted uncomfortably, their spectral forms a mix of fear and longing. The lights flickered again, illuminating a new scene, stark and dreary. A diner stretched out before them, cracked vinyl booths lined the walls, the atmosphere heavy with the scent of stale coffee. In the far corner, a desolate figure sat, slumped over a half-eaten plate of fries, defeated. Brianna recognized him. It was the same man from the wedding memory, now aged and hauntingly alone. What happened to him? Brianna asked, her heart clenching as she recognized the deep sorrow etched in his features. "He lost everything," the ghost replied, her voice trembling as she pointed to the man. "He chose anger over love. The shadows consumed him." The man suddenly looked up, his eyes focusing on an empty space where a woman should have been. The silence spoke volumes, echoing the weight of regret. Brianna felt a tear slip down her cheek as she sensed the depth of his longing. "Why do you show us this?" she asked the ghost, feeling anger bubbling to the surface. "Why expose us to their pain?" "Because it's necessary," the ghost replied, urgency thrumming in her voice. "We need you to witness it all, to feel the stakes of our choices. Only then can the veil be lifted. Only then can we be free. Involving us in their suffering won't heal anyone." Sam stepped forward defiantly, his voice strong, yet tinged with fear. "There's gotta be another way." As if summoned by his words, the diner erupted around them. The man wailed, a heart-wrenching sound that sliced through the air. He slammed his fists onto the table, the force sending silverware trembling. Shadows coalesced like living smoke, swirling around him, pulling him down into a pit of despair. "Make it stop!" Brianna screamed, clutching Sam's arm, panic igniting within her. What do we do? But just then, the ghost shimmered fiercely. You must face your own pain too. Only by confronting your fears can you hope to help them. Before they could respond, the room twisted violently, and darkness enveloped them. The warmth faded, and their surroundings transformed into desolation, an empty void where only voices could reach them. Painful memories surged. Brianna dug into her own heart where old scars lay buried, and Sam braced himself against the pull of lost dreams. Do you remember? The ghost asked, her voice like soft thunder. What burden do you carry? Brianna gasped. Images flickered: an argument with her father, a lost friendship over betrayal, dreams crushed under the weight of reality. Each echo a wound, fresh and raw. I can't face this, she cried, clutching her head as memories assaulted her senses. I can't relive my mistakes. But the ghost's eyes burned bright. You must. Only then will you understand what binds you to this darkness. Feeling squeezed, both by the weight of her own regrets and the cries of the trapped souls around them, Brianna and Sam locked eyes, both of them understanding the fight was just beginning. That a brilliant light erupted from the center of the void, illuminating the specters wailing in torment. Brianna could almost see the outlines of their lost hopes, love letters burned, family betrayals, shattered dreams. Together, we can face this, Sam shouted, his voice the beacon piercing the shadows. Let us confront our past, help them heal. As they stepped forward into the blinding light, shadows writhed around them, pulsing with anguish and hope. Would they succeed in breaking the chains holding the souls trapped in despair? Or would they become lost within their own haunted pasts? The darkness churned ominously, waiting for their answer. Would they plunge into the abyss or rise to the challenge? Only time, and their choices, would tell. The light enveloped them, brightness merging with shadows, as if both pain and hope were fighting for dominance over their souls. In that moment, everything blurred into one overwhelming sensation. Brianna felt her heart race, the pounding echoing in her ears, drowning out the screams of the forgotten. They were thrust into another memory, or was it a nightmare? The diner dissolved, replaced by a dimly lit motel room, the stench of mildew wrapping around them like a suffocating blanket. Red neon flickered outside, casting eerie shadows across the room. A woman stood in the corner, her back turned, shoulders shaking in silent sobs. Who is she? Brianna whispered, fear coursing through her veins. Another story, the ghost replied, her voice sharper now, piercing the thick tension hanging in the air. One where choices loomed as large as the walls surrounding her. As the woman slowly turned, Brianna felt a stab of recognition. It was the same woman from the diner memories, but her beauty was marred by despair. Tears streamed down her face, smudging the makeup that once portrayed her as stunning. The woman's eyes appeared hollow, filled with grief and unspeakable pain. Why do you hurt? Brianna asked, feeling compelled to know, desperate for answers. She sacrificed everything for false love, the ghost said, her voice trembling. She thought it would save her, but instead it left her alone, abandoned. The woman slumped to the bed, burying her face in her hands. Why am I still here? She wailed, a sound so heart-wrenching it could shatter glass. Brianna felt her own chest constrict. Is this how it ends for her? Alone? Sam shook his head, stepping closer. We can't just watch. We need to help her. Help her? Brianna echoed, heart racing. How? But the answer slipped away, lost in the tide of swirling shadows gathering at the edges of the haunted room. A sinister whisper echoed around them, taunting, promising relief in surrender. It felt as though the ground beneath them might crack open and swallow them whole. Remember your own pain. The ghost urged, intensity rising in her words. Only by confronting it can she find her way out. Suddenly, memories surged forth again, vibrant and raw. Brianna felt hot tears fall, unbidden, as she replayed the moment she pulled away from her best friend during a fight, convinced it was the right decision. That betrayal couldn't have led her to this moment. Your choices haunt you. The ghost's voice trembled, barely threading through the chaos. Do you choose to forgive or to continue this endless cycle of regret? I don't know. Brianna gasped, struggling to dispel the weight of long-buried grief. The rapid patter of her heart matched the desperate pulse of the ghostly shadows swirling overhead. Face it, Brianna. Sam urged, taking her hand. This is the chance to break free for all of us. The woman's cries shattered the confined despair, echoing out into the vastness surrounding them. Just as the hoarse wails seemed to drown them, the light around Brianna blazed back, surging with intensity, dragging her deeper into the confrontation with her past. Let it go. The ghost shouted, the urgency in her voice rising like a crescendo. You must act. Choices can shift the course. Brianna raced toward the woman. As she reached out, desperate to connect, she felt an odd warmth pulsate through her hand. Surging light merged with shadows, blurring boundaries until they became one, attempting to wrest free from despair's grasp, but a sudden crack filled the air, sending tremors through their surroundings. The walls shimmered, threatening to collapse, as if the very fabric of this haunting memory could unravel if they failed. Brianna, now! Sam cried, his voice strained with urgency. With one last breath, Brianna plunged her hand into that chaotic mingling of hope and shadows, bracing for the unknown. Would their actions ignite a spark of redemption for the trapped souls, or would they all get lost in a whirlwind of past sorrows? As she reached toward the woman, the echoes of their deepest regrets hung heavy in the air. Waiting for the moment of truth. The moment Brianna's hand made contact with the woman, a rush of energy surged between them. It felt electric, a vibrant thread connecting two worlds. The shadows twisted wildly, bending around them as if trying to resist this newfound connection. Why are you touching me? The woman gasped, suddenly pulled from her sadness. Her eyes widened, flickering between despair and confusion. What do you want? Brianna's heart raced, adrenaline cutting through the thick, musty air. We want to help. We're trapped too, but we can break free together, she breathlessly explained, her voice steadying in the chaos. The woman looked back, considering an instant where hope flickered by, as fragile as a candle flame fighting against the storm. But then darkness seeped back in. Help? What do you know of help? My choices chained me here. Your choices don't have to define you. Sam shouted, stepping closer, his eyes brimming with urgency. You can choose differently now. There's still time. But the shadows pressed in, their whispers growing louder, drowning out Sam's words. It's no use. You are as lost as I am. There's only darkness for us. The woman's voice shattered into wild laughter, ringing cruelly around the grim motel. Brianna felt the slick sweat forming on her brow as the air thickened, choking her. But she wouldn't back down. What did you sacrifice? Please. You buried it so deep, but it's still there. For a moment, the laughter ceased. The woman's face twisted in pain, as memories flickered across her features like lightning. I loved him. I thought love could save us both, but he left. I gave everything and now I'm nothing. How could I let go? The shadows danced in anticipation, creeping closer, eager to latch onto the woman's despair and drag her back into the suffocating void. Brianna felt it too. Fear clawed at her insides, a primal instinct screaming for her to flee. But she couldn't. Not now. Not when they were so close. You have to forgive yourself, she urged, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The weight of your choices will crush you if you don't. You are stronger than your pain. You can find a path to light. The woman shook her head, tears flooding down her cheeks. What if I fail again? What if you rise? Sam stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. We believe you can. You don't have to be trapped forever. Take our hands and let the light guide you. The air shimmered again, thick with potential. Brianna reached out, feeling the warmth radiate from her hand into the woman's. Just as their fingers brushed, the world around them seemed to fracture. The walls trembled violently, each crack echoing like terrifying thunder. The fluorescent flicker of the motel sign outside blinked erratically, casting erratic vultures of light and dark. "Brianna!" Sam yelled as the shadows recoiled, swirling like angry locusts desperate to reclaim their prize. Then the woman screamed, a primal, soul-wrenching cry that splintered through everything. They were all lost in it, veering closer to oblivion. The ground quaked beneath them, a roiling darkness ready to swallow this fragile moment. Brianna's heart surged with one thought: they had to hold on. "Don't let go!" she shouted, squeezing the woman's hand tighter. The air crackled with energy, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting. Suddenly, just as the fabric of existence began to tear, light burst forth between them, illuminating everything. It suffocated the shadows, a powerful beacon standing against the encroaching night. "Together!" Sam shouted, their voices rising as one. But even then, in that blinding moment, the world around them began to unravel, and Brianna felt the boundaries of consciousness blur. What would happen when the light clashed with the darkness? Would hope prevail, or would they be consumed by despair once more? The moment the light surged, it felt like a long-awaited breath filling their lungs. Brianna, heart racing, opened her eyes wider, hoping against hope that it wasn't just a fleeting illusion. The shadows recoiled, shrieking like demons scared of the dawn. Around them, the motel reflected their turmoil, the flickering lights now a strobe, dizzying and erratic. "Hold on!" Sam urged, his voice barely cutting through the chaos. The woman, caught in the embrace of their light, trembled. Can this truly save me?" Her voice shook, a whisper amidst thunder, but there was something new, curiosity flickering in her eyes, a glimmer of possibility. Brianna nodded, refusing to let the doubt settle. "You have to believe it. You have to see it." But the struggle wasn't over. Just as a new spark ignited in the woman, the shadows rumbled angrily, claws of darkness stretching, grasping for their prize. They hissed with venomous whispers that slithered around in Brianna's mind, threatening to drown her in fear. "You think you can save her? Look at you. Look at this pathetic light. You'll fail." "No!" Brianna screamed, her voice a defiant echo, forcing her will into the space. "You don't get to win. You won't take her." With each word, she felt something rise within her, a defiance that pushed back against the encroaching despair. But the shadows were relentless, circling around the woman like a sinister storm ready to unleash. "You chose this pain." They hissed into her ear, coaxing with a dark seduction. "You think you matter? You're nothing, just like your love, just like your hope." The woman clutched her head, fingers digging into her scalp as the shadow's accusations bore into her soul. "I am nothing," she cried out, tears streaming down her face. "I don't deserve this light." Brianna choked on her own fear, that same thought clawing at her heart. What would define her? The darkness they faced or the light they were fighting for? "Listen to me," Sam cried, his face fierce, determined. "You were never nothing. You have always been more than your mistakes. You can break free, shed those chains of past failures." The woman lifted her eyes, and in that moment, the flickers of light deepened. "Tell me," she pleaded, reaching for any glimmer of hope. "Your love matters. Your strength lies buried beneath all this pain. Let it rise. Choose to step into your truth." Sam's voice resonated, rich with passion. The shadows shrieked again, furious, clawing desperately at the barriers of light that surged around them, but Brianna could see it. The woman was shifting. "Let us help you." Brianna reached out farther, a spark of courage igniting her heart. "You're worth fighting for." The woman drew a breath, trembling but resolute, eyes narrowing against the shadows that loomed. "My heart," she whispered, as if she were finally realizing something profound. "Yes," Brianna said, exhilaration blooming in her chest. "That's it. Remember your love, your dreams. It won't be easy, but it's your truth. We'll fight with you. In that heartbeat, a shaft of blinding light burst from the woman, sharp and brilliant, forcing the shadows back. The room erupted, sound bursting like a bomb, the walls cried out as tremors surged again. But not everyone was ready for the shift. In the chaos, Brianna felt the ground beneath her tremble violently, an ominous rumble making her heart pound louder than ever. The walls around them began to crack wider, the light battling against the consuming dark. "Brianna!" Sam shouted, panic weaving into his voice. "It's not over. We need to corner the shadows once and for all." Brianna's heart raced. "Together!" she yelled, locking eyes with both Sam and the woman. "We'll break through. We have to trust in the light of who we are." Yet even in that moment of unity, she could sense the shadows rallying for one last desperate attack. The energy surged around them, and a dreadful thought clawed at her neck: what if they couldn't hold on? What if the shadows swallowed them whole? The answer loomed as a dark silhouette larger than anything they had seen yet. Was this the final clash between light and dark? Could they forge a new path in the encroaching chaos, or was the end rapidly approaching? The shadows twisted and writhed, desperate to reclaim the light that flickered against their impending darkness. Brianna could feel the energy pulsing through her veins, a combination of determination and fear, intertwining like a raging storm. "We can't let go," she shouted, clenching Sam and the woman's hands tighter. "Now!" Sam cried, voice steady and strong. They concentrated, pouring their collective will into the light, drawing strength from one another. The warmth seeped into the shadows, igniting a spark that created fissions of blinding energy. Everything hinged on this moment, the power of their resolve against the shadows that threatened to obliterate them. "Together we rise!" Brianna shouted, and they surged forward, pushing through the cacophony of shadows. Just as the darkness began to cascade over them, the light exploded from their joined hands. It wasn't just light, it was hope, it was love, it was everything that mattered. It illuminated the depths of despair, showering the room with radiance, and then they understood. Every heartache, every mistake, those burdens could transform into strength. Each flicker of pain turned into wings of release. Brianna felt the chains of her past break, shattering against the relentless brilliance enveloping them. The room fractured, and the shadows shrieked, retreating into the abyss. They could sense freedom clawing closer, the air swirling with possibility. The dark figure of Cole emerged, his eyes wide in disbelief as the room burned bright with the light of their triumph. "You think you can defeat me?" he snarled, yet even he could see the tide shifting, the very foundations of despair crumbling beneath them. "It's over!" Brianna shouted back, fear morphing into empowerment. "Your darkness holds no power here." In that instant, they lunged forward together. The woman, filled with purpose, stepped into the glow, holding her ground against the shadows swirling around her. "I choose to remember my heart," she declared, voice rich with defiance. The shadows hissed, writhing desperately, but their strength was draining against the united front of love and light. As tears streamed down Brianna's face, she felt a profound connection to every spirit tangled in sorrow. "We remember you." The words poured from her like a prayer. "We honor you. Your stories matter." The light exploded, cutting through the encroaching darkness like a flashlight in the night. It merged with everything they had pushed through, the moments of love, laughter, loss, grief, and ultimately, healing. Cole screamed, realization striking him as he saw the light twist and envelop him, pulling him back into a void of his own making. He was bound by the chains of his own hatred. "No. You can't do this," he cried, but it was too late. The shadows evaporated, dissipating into thin air as the power of their collective will crushed despair beneath its newfound brilliance. Everything began to dissolve, the motel walls fading, surrendering to a blinding white light that ignited around them. Brianna, Sam, and the woman clung together, entwined in an unbroken circle of hope as reality shifted. They felt as if they were lifted, floating above the chaos of the motel's haunted history. As the oppressive weight released, laughter emerged around them. Ethereal echoes of joy, heartache, and finally, peace, washed over them in waves. The voices of the lost faded into harmonious whispers of gratitude, each spirit finding its way home, and in that moment, Brianna knew they had unlocked the door. They had paved a path to freedom not just for themselves, but for every soul bound to the chains of the Sunset Inn. The sun broke through the darkness, rays flooding a new dawn that shone brightly, warm and free. They stood together, hand in hand in a bright, open field, the overwhelming scent of flowers and the warmth of the sun enveloping them like a comforting embrace. The motel was a ghost of the past, and they had become not just witnesses, but authors of a new story. "Thank you," the woman whispered, her face serene as she faded into a soft glow that illuminated the air. "You broke the cycle." And as each figure vanished one by one, Brianna and Sam remained, breathless and woven in the sheer power of transformation. "Let us go home," Sam said, locking eyes with her, certainty glowing within their hearts. As they turned away from what had once been gripping darkness, they embraced the vast, brilliant future before them. The Sunset Inn was no longer a reminder of fear. It had become a lesson of courage. Forever free, now, that was quite the conclusion, wasn't it? But I need you to keep the story alive. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories, smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. Your support shows you're a true fan. Let's keep this amazing journey going together.